story, and I won't finish it. The ending is quite shocking, so I encourage you to finish it on your own. It can be found online. It's called Martha. It is not from my novel, and really all you need to know is that it's a bunch of children who are hanging by the graveyard, and this story is set in Nigeria. Now, a lot of people, Americans, like to ask me, is this what children do for fun in Nigeria? And I say no. This is actually what adults do for fun in America, because that's the inspiration for this story. I was in Iowa, and a bunch of my friends like to just go hang out in the graves, and I thought, no Nigerian would never do that. There's a story there, so I wrote the story. What else do you need to know? The children, what they talk about is real. Children these days do wonder about how the world functions, and they do wonder about, what's going on between the different ethnic groups in the country, etc., etc. They do wonder about what America is like, and if they will ever get there, if they want to go, etc., etc. But I might not get to that part, but we'll see. Okay. Martha. There are 6 of us. We are gathered in the cemetery where the tombstones rise low. We are loafing and loitering, we are chattering among ourselves. We are lions and lionesses, and the cemetery is our den. At first it is raining, so we watch the deep dents of the concrete slabs fill with rain. When the rain dies down, we simply trace the yellow leaves with our eyes. Yesterday we did not gather by the tombstones for long. The crowd of people came singing, moaning loudly, all dressed in gray and black. The men lifted their shovels and held them above the earth. They dug a shallow hole and lowered the coffins to the hole. We watched from our hiding places among the orange and mango trees. We whispered at the slightness of the box, a simple wooden rectangle, its lid flapping gently, appearing not to have been sealed. We'll make it easy for us, Bumi said. Better than easy, Ayo replied. Today we have settled down on the way we always do. M-A-R-T-A, the tombstone reads. And though we have not the slightest idea who Martha might have been, we have commenced the telling of her story. In Chika's version, Martha is a woman who goes to America to attend university, but ends up cleaning toilets and scrubbing floors of old white people in places called nursing homes, because that's what happens to all Nigerians who are brought Chika Problem. Haven't you heard? And of course we all have. That's not how it goes, Bumi scolds. If it's not the way it goes, then how does it go, Chika asks. Martha doesn't go to America, Bumi responds, as if Martha were a close friend of hers. Of course she goes to America, Shola says. Everybody and their mother eventually goes to America. No, Bumi says indignantly, not Martha. Martha doesn't go to America. You have to start from the beginning and tell it the correct way. Well, you tell it then, Chika says. Not far from where we sit, swaying by the grove of orange and mango trees, is a makeshift swing. 2 thick ropes connected to a flat wooden board. I imagine swinging now. The sun still hangs bright in the sky, but I imagine that it has already gone down, that we have finished with our work, that the fireflies are roaming, and I am chasing them with my eyes. Bumi smiles. She clears her throat and begins the story again. Story, story, she says. Story, everyone responds. Once upon a time, time. There was once a young girl named Martha who was the most beautiful across the 7 rivers. Did she live in the river like Mamiwata? Tobechuku asks, laughing at his own joke, as if he doesn't make this same joke every time Bumi mentions across the 7 rivers. Ayo turns to Tobechuku and gives him a high five. We girls sigh loudly, roll our eyes at the boys. Okay, Tobechuku says finally. He adjusts his oversized baseball hat. We're sorry, please continue, he says. Bumi begins again. In the village somewhere between Igbo and Yoruba land lived a beautiful young girl, the most beautiful across the 7 rivers. Her name was Martha. What does Martha even mean, Shola asks, fidgeting absent-mindedly with her dangling gold earrings. You see, Chika says, that's exactly why she should go to America. Her name is Martha. It's the kind of name that people in America have. There's nothing especially American about the name I want to say, and I want to say that people in Nigeria have that name too. But before I open my mouth to say it, Bumi speaks. Doesn't matter what Martha means. All you need to know is that that's her name, no America involved. Okay, go on, Chika says. Martha was so beautiful that men from over 50 villages gathered day and night to ask her hand in marriage, Bumi continues. What I'd like to know is if Martha was Yoruba or Igbo, Ayo asks. What does it matter to you, Chika asks. Maybe her mother was Igbo and her father Yoruba. That happens all the time these days, you know. Like if you and Ayo decided to get married, Tobichukwu says, winking at Ayo. Ayo blows Chika a kiss in the air. Tufiakwa, Chika exclaims. That's the last thing I will ever do, she says. Though we all know that she does like Ayo. Okay, Ayo replies. No problem. He speaks in mock serious pidgin, with an artificial raspiness as if he were suddenly a man. You turned down my love for you? No big problem at all. Chika laughs, the rest of us do too. After a moment, Tobechukwu squints, and he wrinkles his nose as if he can see or smell a new question in the air. What I want to know is how old Martha was when these men were coming, he says. Old enough to be married, Chika responds. Martha was 16 years old when he says, only a few years older than us. It is true, we are mostly 11 and 12. Only Bumi is 13. People don't get married that early, Ayo says. How would you even know, Bumi asks. Maybe mostly they don't, but I bet you sometimes they do. All right, Tobichukwu says. Go on, hurry up and continue. And Bumi does. Every evening just before sunset, 100 men would line up outside Martha's family compound. Men dressed in their traditional garments, abadas, shokotos, Igbo chiefs in their gold ishagu, all of them offering Martha's father a herd of cows and a portion of land for her hand in marriage. Martha would start at one end of the line, and as she walked up to the other end, she would eliminate men. She didn't like any of them, Chika asks. She didn't like any of them, Bumi says. Did she have to get married, Shola asks. All girls have to get married, Bumi says. Why, Chika asks. Tradition, Bumi responds, like a verdict, like something she has heard somewhere in school or from grown-up talks. Tradition can't be the reason why girls have to get married, I start to say, because for one thing, I've heard the grown-ups myself. And the only thing I've heard them say about tradition is that tradition is fading away. For another thing, my mama is always saying that these days, girls should marry only if they're able to find themselves really good men like my papa. Which basically means that girls don't even have to marry. But Bumi ignores the little that I have said, so I don't say the rest. Every day for months, Martha eliminates all her suitors, Bumi says. And the next day, more men line up. Of course, they are eliminated like all the rest. And then one day, Martha's father forces her to choose a husband. Who does she choose? Tobichukwu asks. She was just about to say, Shola says. Martha chooses the most handsome of the men, Bumi says, who is also the man that presents her father with the largest portion of land and the greatest number of cows. And before you can even blink your eyes, they plan a huge wedding. She opens her arms wide to show the size of the wedding, and abracadabra. She snaps her fingers. Martha is suddenly a married woman. Then they lived happily ever after, Ayo says. No, silly, Bumi says. If they all live happily ever after, then why is Martha dead? I forgot about that part, Ayo says, all wide-eyed and feigning surprise. So what happens to her then? He's a little less wide-eyed now. The day after her marriage, she packs her things to go to her husband's home. That's the way it is, you know. The wife always moves into the husband's home, Bumi says. So they're on this journey to get to the husband's home. That's when all the strange things begin to happen. You see, Martha's journey to her husband's village is a long one. They set off on foot on a 13-day journey. On day number 1, they leave. Everything is wonderful and just as to be expected. On day number 2, they make a stop during which her husband runs into the bushes. When he returns, Martha notices that her husband's voice is not as tender as it had been before he went in. It is coarser, as if still he acts the same husbandly way toward her. He holds her hand, for example, and so she ignores the change. Is everything okay, she asks. He nods his head, saying that everything is just fine. And then what, Shola asks. I was getting there, Bumi says. She clears her throat again and continues. A couple of days go by where nothing really changes, and then on day number 5, her husband runs into the bushes again. When he comes back, she notices that there are patches on his head where his hair used to be. Is everything okay, Martha asks again, and again he nods, saying that things are just fine. More days go by. And then what, I ask. All around me, Shola and Chika and Ayu and Tobichuku are now serious and listening. I can tell that they also want to know. On day number 8, Martha's husband runs into the bushes. Bumi says this time when he returns, there is nothing where his ears used to be. Oh Lord, Chika says. Disgusting, Tobichuku mutters. Shola and Ayu and I shudder. Bumi cocks her head and raises a brow, which tells us that she is satisfied by the effect of her storytelling. We have responded in the desired way, and she approves. Martha becomes terrified. Is everything okay, she asks again, but this time there is no answer. Of course there is no answer, Shola says. He has no ears to even hear the question. All of us fall into laughter. She should run away from him, Tobichuku says finally. She doesn't even know where she is by now, Bumi says. Anyway, it turns out that her husband keeps going into the bushes to return all the body parts that he borrowed before he went to Martha's village. You see, none of the body parts were his own, not even his voice, and now Martha looks around her and cannot recognize her surroundings. Her only choice is to follow him and hope that someone in his village will save her from him. Meanwhile, things get worse. On day number 11, her husband loses his arms and his legs, begins to crawl on the earth like a tortoise. Martha cannot look at him anymore. She starts to cry, but she has no choice but to continue following what remains of the man. On day number 13, they arrive at her husband's village, and what does she find? She finds that everyone in the village is just like him, Shola says. Exactly, Bumi says. But more than that, Martha sees that she has been brought back by her husband, not to be a wife, but to be food for the village. The butcher knives are all ready to welcome her at her arrival, and so are the cauldrons. But how do they even wield the knives if they have no arms? Chika asks. Never mind that, Bumi says. You just have to believe me when I say it. Besides, it's just how the story goes. They cooked her and they ate her, Ayu asks. He is staring, bewildered, at the tombstone. And I will stop there. Don't worry, it gets better, and nobody dies.